On today's Glory Days show, the Denver Broncos are the Super Bowl champions in a game that nobody could have predicted.
Well, somebody on this show predicted it correctly. And the early lead for the Glory Days Hammerhead of the Year award goes to Mets relief pitcher Jenry Mejia, who becomes the first player suspended for life after failing a third drug test.
And in our Did You Hear About segment, we have stories about Major League Baseball authorizing new headgear for pitchers on the mound, a coach calling one of his players out for a bonehead movie made, and a sports talk show, Mike Francesca, really the king of all media?
We'll have Pete Torgerson on to talk about the NHL, so don't touch that mouse. The Glory Days show is starting right now.
Inravio.com.
Hello again, everybody. Today is Saturday, February 13th, 2016, and you are watching The Glory Days Show with Bruce Disco. My name is Paul Discofani, and this is my good friend Bruce Oler.
Hello, Disco.
How are you?
Good.
And Kyle Melnick and Eric Mikhailov are behind the glass, and you are joining us on the Inravio TV network, broadcasting live from Studio C in the great
Darth Vader
state
in
of
your
New
house?
York.
What, man? You know.
What was that sound? Well,
So I guess we can call it the Super Bowl now, or what?
yeah, we call it the Super Bowl now because I don't think we can get in trouble for
Because I
it.
guess it's news, right? I guess it's
news.
news now. We're reporting on the news and not having a show around it.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is that. And I enjoyed the Super Bowl. How about you?
Well, you know, I really didn't have any money riding on the game. I didn't have any numbers in a pool or anything like that.
It was only your reputation.
I know.
You and virtually every other person on this show last week, except for Trey Looney
Yeah.
and Joe Larson
Yeah.
and Joe's friend and the man, the myth, the legend, Chuck Schultz.
Yes.
All of us predicted that the Denver Broncos were going to win.
Yeah, I think the smart money was on Carolina, and obviously that wound up being dumb money. You
And
know,
smart money
I am
means
glad
exactly
that I
that.
didn't make that bet, make a bet with you like the Admiral did.
Mike Ferraro.
Now, when is he going to come on the air and kiss your behind?
I don't know, but we're working on that. We're
All
going to
right.
make that a special segment.
All right,
But I do have something that I wanted to tell you about.
I can't wait.
Okay. Last week,
Yeah.
I did not make an official prediction on the score of the game,
Okay.
okay? Because what I did
I
was...
know I did. I think I said 55.
Yeah, 55 to 10, I believe I wrote it. 55-14.
All right, all right.
Okay. So what I did last week was, in all the hubbub of the excitement of the crowd and everything, I wrote down the score, and I put it in an envelope, and I left it in the control booth.
You did.
And if we could have the music, I'd like to present you with that hermetically sealed envelope.
That'd be the great card.
And now for...
Hold it to 213-16 Glory Day show. Do not open.
Okay, now I'd like you to open that envelope. This was my prediction for the Super Bowl.
Oh my! You're kidding me. Denver 24, Carolina 10.
Inravio.com.
Now, is there any kind of auditor that could actually attest to the fact this thing was sealed since last week?
No.
Okay, all right. Well,
Now let me tell you.
it's unverifiable then, my friend. That's all I can say.
But I do have my
Yeah, shall I kiss the
official
ring?
Super Bowl ring.
Shall I kiss the ring? Okay.
It's the official Super Bowl ring.
I'll kiss the ring. I'm
of
just not
Super
going to kiss
Bowl
you
50.
behind, okay?
My good friend Peyton Manning sent me this FedEx after the Super Bowl.
And what does it say?
It says,
Thanks for the memories.
Disco is always right.
All right.
Why anyone goes against him, I don't understand.
You know, let's think about that game for a second, though. You know, Denver's defense stopped Carolina. They really had 14 points over the turnover. Carolina's D was probably just as good, except they didn't score any points.
You know what? I think that if Carolina had won the game, their defense would be one of the greatest Super Bowl defenses ever.
Yeah. I mean, the only really drive that they had was that first drive.
Right. They took the ball. They went down the field. They only got a field goal.
That's right, because, Carolina stiffened at the end, and they had to settle for a field goal. And that was it. You know, one of the things in this game, though, the Carolina had 12 penalties for 102 yards. I think that was a pretty...
They had 6 false starts.
Yeah.
And they said that was because the defense was getting to them so often that they were trying to get a jump on.
They were on their heels.
Right. You know, the
315 yards for Carolina versus 194 for Denver. 21 first downs versus 11 for Denver. 3 for 15 versus 1 for 14 on third down conversions.
The Denver defense said that they felt that if they had, that if they could stand up to him, and the quote here is from Von Miller, that if they could stand up to him and look him eye to eye, that he would crumble. And in the first series that they had, they were able to strip the ball and get that touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That changed the entire game.
It did.
Because from that point on, he started throwing the ball high. Receivers were dropping the ball.
Yeah, he didn't have a very good game, you know. And you know, I was doing some research on this because he was the MVP. He was named the MVP, and so they listed out the 5 worst MVP performances in the Super Bowl. Okay.
The 5 worst NFL MVPs okay.
So number 5 was John Elway. He was the MVP in '88. It was the '89 Super Bowl. They lost 42-10 against Washington. Number 4 was Joe Theismann, the '83 MVP. In the '84 Super Bowl, they lost to Oakland 38-9. The 3rd worst, Earl Morrall, was the MVP, believe it or not,
for the
Baltimore Colts, and that was in Super Bowl III, where the Jets beat them 16-7. Thurman Thomas in 1991 Super Bowl was the '90 season.
Was that the Giants?
It was a 20-19 score. He had 10 rushes for 13 yards. And if you remember this game, if I've forgotten about this, he didn't start the game because basically he lost his helmet.
Well, right.
He put his helmet down at the 40-yard line, and somebody had to move it because they had to get ready for the national anthem, and he couldn't locate it in time to start the game.
That's right. I read about that.
And then number 1, and this was a horrible performance, Rich Gannon, the 2002 season. He had 5 interceptions, 3 pick sixes.
Rich Gannon was the MVP?
Oakland versus Tampa Bay, 48-21.
Wow, I didn't know Rich Gannon was an MVP.
Yeah, neither did I.
You know, I think that one of the things about this game, right after Carolina had made it, I believe, 10-7.
Yeah.
And they just drove right down the field and scored. Broncos went 3 and out. And at that point, because I was putting messages on Facebook after every drive.
I saw.
And at that point, I said, this is the drive that will change the game because Carolina, if they just come down come down the field and score again, Denver's done because Denver cannot. They had gone 3 or 4 straight 3 and outs.
I mean, their offense was terrible in that game. The defense really won that game for them, and that's why Von Miller was the MVP.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, he had. It just seemed that the entire team was deflated.
Yeah.
You know, Newton when he got strip sacked and they got the fumble early in the game, he just walked off the field with his head down. He's a really emotional guy, which is what makes him a great player,
right, and
a fun player to watch. But
he wasn't so fun at that news conference afterwards, was he?
No, he was so mad. You know, they said you have to. In order to learn how to win, you have to learn how to lose.
Right. Well, and he's well on his way then, my friend.
You know, they kept saying, the defense kept saying they hadn't played anybody. He says, we're the first dogs they've played.
Yeah. Well, it's the way it goes.
Well, once again, I just want to say that I normally am very bad at picking games. Normally.
Well, that's right. That's right. And actually, even if you look at all the games leading up, the last couple of weeks you got hot, and obviously you picked the Super Bowl right on. Right on, although this is unverifiable. Okay. So we're going to take a little break here. We're just getting started here on the Glorty Days show. We'll switch gears and we'll talk a little hockey with Mr. Hockey, Pete Torgerson. Later on, we'll talk about knucklehead Jerry Mejia, Genry Mejia, and his suspension, and we'll also have a couple of Did You Hear About stories in our Did You Hear About segment. Stay with us. You're watching the Glorty Days show with Bruce and Disco, only on the Inravio TV network. Coming right back.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Welcome back to the Glorty Days show here with Bruce and Disco here on the Inravio TV network. Our next guest wasn't available for our big game extravaganza last week, but I'm sure that if he was able to be on the show, he would have also picked the Denver Broncos as Super Bowl champs. After all, anyone that beats his New England Patriots must eventually win it all, right? Today, our focus will be on the NHL as we start heading into our playoff push. Please welcome our version of Mr. Hockey, the Maven, Pete Torgerson. Pete, how are you?
Gentlemen, what's happening?
Hey, so what happened last week, man? Okay. Long story or what?
I'm just stupid. That's all it is.
Okay, no, okay. I should ask Disco if he already told you what the situation was. We were looking forward to talking to you, but...
Hey, so let's have your prediction on the Super Bowl.
My prediction on the Super Bowl, I was rooting for the numbers 6 and 4 to win the pool,
Okay.
and I got the 6 on the Denver side, and I needed one touchdown from that rat Cam Newton, and he couldn't come through for me. So
All right.
that's who I was rooting for, and of course the officials.
I had really bad numbers. I had 4 and 5 in 2 separate box pools.
Wow.
I want to know what's the chances of getting those numbers.
I don't know.
in
You should
2
have played that
different
game in
pools.
Lotto or something. Man. You know.
Needless to say, I didn't win any money.
So Pete,
Yeah,
we'll talk a little hockey today, man.
Where do you want to start?
Well,
it's been a
let's
great
start with,
season.
is there any major surprises, since you follow it very regularly, any surprises this season so far?
Well, the top of the list is the Florida Panthers,
Yeah.
and right behind them are the Washington Capitals.
Yep.
So those are the 2 biggest surprises. The Dallas Stars are playing lights out, too. So I think those are my 3 big surprises.
And Montreal started out like a house on fire too, man, but they're not even they're on the outside looking in for the playoffs right now, right?
Who's that? I didn't hear it.
Montreal.
Oh, they're a mess.
They
They're
are?
fragile. Yeah, they're fragile right now. I don't like Subban and the way he goes about his business. So I think he's going to be the downfall of that team.
Now I read something about his brother. His brother is a goalie for the Bruins right now. He got hurt or something, right? In his neck.
He took a slap shot in the throat. It collapsed his larynx the other day.
Yeah.
But that guy, he can't stop a beach ball. He was the first round. He's a first round draft pick, and that was the biggest wasted pick in the history of the Bruins. And they've made some terrible picks over the years.
What about Toronto? I wanted to ask you about Toronto.
In that trade?
Trading Phaneuf,
Yeah.
their captain.
That's your guy, Dion Phaneuf.
I know.
He's another waste. Ottawa picked up some garbage there. Lou Lamoriello, he's doing it right. He's blowing that team up. They got rid of all their garbage. Phaneuf.
It's a big trade. With nine guys, I think, got traded in that transaction.
Yeah, and I think they stole some good players from Ottawa, some good young guys. So Toronto's going to be all right. Give them a little while.
Speaking of Lou Lamoriello, he was, I guess, the Devils retired Marty Brodeur's number.
Yeah.
And they brought Bettman out, and he was booed heartily. And then Lou Lamoriello came up, and they were cheering him, and he took a little dig at the commissioner, saying, "Hey, not quite the same response that you got, you know."
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Bettman, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Now, Pete, we want to talk about the East, I guess, in a second here. But there was, I guess, a few weeks ago, this Dennis Weideman story, broke where he got hit pretty good. I guess really they said he had a concussion, but he might have played the rest of that game. But he winds up abusing a referee, and he gets suspended for 20 games. So, what are your thoughts on that one?
They should have thrown him out for the season, and then had a hearing to come back because he was upset. He was heading to the bench. He got to the bench. The lineman's coming in backwards, and he hit him a shot. That's like getting hit from behind in a car by going 60 miles an hour when you don't expect it like that.
Yeah.
He could have really hurt that guy. And they got to send a message that this is not tolerated. 20 games is nothing. It ended up costing them like $600,000 or something like that. But I would have thrown the book at him, thrown him out for the rest of the year. I don't care if you're concussed, whatever your excuse is. Everybody has an excuse nowadays. Be responsible for your actions. You whacked a ref, a linesman. It wasn't even a ref; it was a linesman.
Yeah.
So.
Anything like that ever happened to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get. Yeah. Actually, I was doing a college girls game last night, and there was a little, like not a scrum, like a little traffic, and this girl pushed me. I'm like, "Are you all right?" But she turned around. She goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry," because that's how
they play.
They relate to it. Yeah. So.
Pete, she was hitting on you, man.
Yeah.
Do you ever have to break up fights in a women's hockey game?
No.
Or do you stand there and say, cat fight?
The skill level at the girls' college hockey now is unbelievable.
Really?
Cornell last night, they had a defenseman. She was 6'2". She had to be 180 pounds and could skate, move. And in the past 3 years, the overall skill level has improved remarkably. They all can shoot a ton. It's really come a long way.
I wanted to ask you about the Islanders. They've been kind of mediocre since probably like Thanksgiving. They've been kind of mediocre. But they had an unusual statistic. After they beat the Kings the other night, they beat them, 5-3, I think. They beat the Kings 5-2. They had a statistic that against the teams from the West at home, they're 12-0-2 at home.
They should, you know why? Because they stopped in Manhattan the night before. Of course they're 12-0-1. The guys don't get home till 5 in the morning, and then they got to go play over in Brooklyn. I think the problem with the Islanders, and it's where they're playing. They all live in Long Island.
Yeah.
They're all commuters now. Days of games, they have to come in the morning. They go to a hotel. So they have 82 road games this year, as far as I'm concerned.
I remember you saying that when we had you on the phone earlier this year.
Yeah. It's got to wear down on them, and that's the thing that scares me about the Islanders.
You know, they one of the things that I like is I think that we might have too many good goalies. I think that the 3 goaltenders that they have right now have been playing very well. And actually, I think I know that Halak is still the #1 guy, but this kid Grease,
Yeah, he's been outstanding this year.
he's
He
been
really has been.
outstanding. You know, but I think that he might be the one that they're going to end up trading.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to have 3 good goalies. You want that one good goalie and that goalie in waiting. Because once you start shuffling goalies, goalies are all a little soft. They start thinking, and then they let in easy shots. So you want that guy that is your go-to guy,
Yeah.
and then a backup that's hungry and knows that when he gets in, he has to perform. And that's the only way you win. What team has ever won with 2 or 3 goalies? It just doesn't happen.
So what do you think is going to happen here? Can Florida keep this thing up? They going to win that division?
Yeah, they're a real nice team, but this is their first rodeo. So I'm not worried about them in the playoffs, thinking that they're going to advance. They might get knocked out in the first round. As far as I'm concerned, the teams you got to look at in the East. Detroit is always dangerous.
Yeah.
They're coming here
Tampa
tomorrow.
Bay.
I mean,
Yeah.
Monday afternoon, the Islanders in Detroit.
Tampa Bay, they were in the finals last year. They struggled early. They're getting back to normal. I think those are the 2 teams in that Atlantic division, Detroit and Tampa,
you don't think
that
it's
you got to
Florida,
watch.
huh? Florida's got
Yeah,
70 points. Detroit's got 65. Tampa Bay's got 64.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about Florida that much. I think they can get knocked off. Roberto Luongo's their goalie, and he's always suspect at some time or other. But they put a great team together. Not this year. I don't think this year, but next year, the year after, they'll be good. They just have to get their feet wet in the playoffs this year. At the Metropolitan Division, the Capitals, who I always hated Ovechkin,
Yeah.
but it seems like he's with the program now. I think Mike. They brought in Mike Richards. I don't know about that one, but Justin Williams, he's a big steadying influence there. And they got rid of Green. Green used to be their top defenseman. They blew him up. They sent him to Detroit, and they're a much better team without him. And I think they have probably top 3 goalie in the league, and Holtby, he's unbelievable. He wins games for them. They also
84
picked up
points
PJ.
they have, man. They look like they're a shoo-in. Everything else is a little
Hey, Pete,
closer to earth here.
Pete, I know you're running out of time because you got to get out.
No, I'm good. I changed
Oh,
that.
good.
I'm good.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do have a quick question, though. We're running up against the break anyway. But I do have a quick question. What were your thoughts on the 3-on-3 All-Star game?
You know what? I didn't think I was going to like it, but it was pretty cool.
I thought it was too.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think that because there was so much open ice, there wasn't any of that, I just got to let this guy go by me.
No, that's right.
Right.
That's
I
right.
think it really brought out, it was kind of entertaining. You know what I mean? I just don't know what to do about the time frame between the 3 games that they play.
Right.
I don't think it's fair to the team that has to play the second one.
right.
After the first guy. Because
Well,
let's face it, especially with 3-on-3.
And you know how they decided who got the first game? It was whoever won the skills competition.
I know, but that's silly. That's like the
That's
All-Star
not
game.
silly.
Do you know the only thing I would do with that, Pete, is I would add another offensive line and another defensive pairing, just to take a little bit of the because it's 3-on-3 is tough for those guys.
On that side and on that rink,
Yeah.
we play 3-on-3 in a little rink, and it's tough.
Yeah, so I would add another 3 offensive guys and another 2 defensive guys.
But I'm with you, Pete. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be that good, and I thought it was really a lot of fun. I really did, you know?
Yeah.
And for the last game to go a 1-0 game.
1-0 game, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be, like 12-10, but those guys really played defense. They back-checked it. In the zone, they were like playing man-to-man. It was it was good. They had to work.
Yeah,
I think they got into it. You know what? I know that the $1 million spread amongst 12 or 13 guys is not that much. I mean, to us it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I think they should up it. I think they should up it, maybe make it $5 million a team, and I bet you see them play a little different. Now, again, not checking, not fighting or anything like that, but just I just think you see them play a little different. All right, man, we got to get out of here.
So,
Hey,
Pete,
one quick
Sure.
thing for all your Ranger fans. Their window's closing. This is the year they have to do something, and it's not going to happen. So I think, their king is going to die. Their window is shutting quickly. They need to jumpstart that team somehow. I think they're too weak on the defensive end, and their scorers don't score. So
and their goaltending situation. I mean, Lundqvist played so many games. They had the backup in last night, and actually, he gave him a chance to win, although he didn't look very good.
Yeah.
Right.
All righty, Pete.
Great talking to you, my friend.
All right,
We'll talk to you
guys.
maybe next week about the West. Then get your
Sounds like a
perspective
plan.
again.
All righty, man.
Sounds
Very
like a
good,
plan.
Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks
That's
for
our
calling in,
good. That's our good buddy Pete Torgerson.
Okay.
We're gonna take another break here on the Glory Day Show. When we get back, we'll switch gears again. Then we'll talk a little bit about
Baseball. Okay.
Stay with us. You're watching the Glory Day Show with Bruce Disco, only on the Inravio TV network. Coming right back.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Welcome back to the Glory Day Show with Bruce Disco here on the Inravio TV network. Just 4 days.
4 days,
Until
man.
pitchers and catchers report to Met spring training camp. And
You
the
wouldn't
next
know that
day,
by the weather outside, man.
right?
You know.
But the next day it's the Yankees.
Okay.
So Mets on Wednesday, Yankees on Thursday. And I just can't wait.
Well, the Mets have a target on their back. I think David Wright said that, and he's right. I mean, you know, once you win, everybody wants a piece of you. You know, you faced a hostile fan base, you know, when you're away. You know, and everybody wants to prove that they're as good as you.
Well, that's the whole thing. You know, you're the quote unquote
You're the
team
top
to
dog.
beat,
You're the top dog, man.
so to speak.
The big banana.
The top dog, the big kahuna.
There you go.
Well, that's kind of like what the Mets are. The Mets are this year. Hey, can you move that?
Teleprompter. Here we go.
Where's my notes? I was up till 12 o'clock last night writing this stuff. All right, so fresh off their 2015 campaign that saw them win the National League East crown and represent the National League in the World Series, the Mets are riding high going into spring training. They have a stud pitching staff. They're primed. They're ready to go. And the Mets reshaped their infield this year. A new double play combination. They brought back their Cuban bopper, big bad Yoenis Cespedes. Okay? And with everyone all happy and ready to go, news broke yesterday. It was more surprising than unsettling. Okay? And even though he wasn't available to play until sometime in August because of his 162-game suspension for using PEDs a second time, the Mets' former closer, Jenry Mejia, failed yet another drug test while playing winter ball, and he now has the dubious distinction of being the first ever player suspended for life because of performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah, I don't understand. They say he's suspended for life, but say he can appeal and he can come back in 2018 or
Here's
something?
the deal.
Yeah.
The Mets had agreed to a $2 million contract with Mejia that would have allowed him to return in August at a prorated rate.
Okay.
But the point is moot. He was suspended again, this time for using the anabolic steroid Boldenon, which increases muscle mass, and it's popular in horse racing.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the jockeys or the horses. But for Mejia, this was strike 3, and now he's out of baseball.
He's out.
Strike 1 occurred in April of last year
Yep.
for 80 games when he was using stanozolol, a drug that was popular with bodybuilders. And at the time, Mejia said he had no idea how the drug got into his system. But when he returned to the Mets on July 12th, he appeared in just 7 games and then was hit with strike 2. With the band again on July 28th, that was for 162 games. And he tested positive for both stanozolol and bendenone. Okay? Mets general manager Sandy Alderson said this: I think, not surprisingly, there's a tremendous amount of disappointment. I think to some extent, anger. To some extent, amazement that this could happen so soon after a previous suspension was completed. Then he added, this is the consequence of making bad choices. Now, when you talk about
But
making
Mejia's
a
still
bad
saying he
choice-
doesn't know how it got into his system.
Well, you know what you were asking about before, okay? He can apply for reinstatement in a year, but he has to serve at least 2 years of the suspension, even if he gets reinstated immediately. That means he can't come back until 2018 season at the earliest, and he'll be a 30-year-old pitcher who pitched just 7 games in the last 3 seasons.
He'll be well rested.
He'll be very long. Mejia saved 28 games and 31 chances for the Mets in 2014, but I don't know if you remember. On opening day,
I do remember opening day.
he couldn't get loose.
Yeah.
He went on the disabled list
Yeah.
with elbow inflammation, and that was it.
He was suspended.
Here's my question or my issue, okay? You get suspended, all right? Do you think that whoever it was that was supplying him with the drugs or telling him said, don't worry, we got it this time. We know how to beat the system. And he's just stupid enough to go along with it?
I think, the fact, he's either really stupid or there's something else that's going on here. You get caught once, you say, oh, shoot, I got to clean up my act, To get caught 3 times, and for him to say all these times he doesn't know how it got into his system, I think there's more to this story than any of us understand right now.
There's got to be, because if you're I guess if you're an alcoholic, right? And we all are alcoholics at heart. But if you're a real alcoholic, and it's a disease.
Yeah.
Right? It's something that you crave.
You
and
think
have to
he's
continue
hooked
going.
on steroids?
But I don't know. Could you be hooked on steroids?
I don't know.
Is that something that is a...
Is it addictive?
I don't know. Is it addictive? I don't know.
I'll tell you what, all I can think of is the time that Paul McCartney got busted for pot when he was in Japan.
Right.
And they said, this is not the first time this happened to you. Didn't you say you would never do it again? And he said, that's right. I'll never do it again. He winked at the camera. So you knew that he really wasn't all that sincere,
The thing that makes it obviously it's strange that you would remember how incredulous we were when he did it the second time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is now the now he gets suspended again while he's still on suspension. So, and what I understand was when he was in winter ball.
Yeah.
Okay, he was doing terrible. His first, they were using him as a starting pitcher because they wanted him to build up his innings. So his first 5 starts, his ERA was like 5.5, something like 6.
So did it get better?
And all of a sudden it got better.
Really?
It just amazingly got better. And then guess what? All of a sudden, boop, he got pinched. You know what I mean?
It's incredible. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you always want to give people the benefit of the doubt, you know, but there's only so many times you can, you know, just like you say, 3 strikes and you're out. This is the 3rd time. But like I say, I really got to believe there's more to the story just because of the fact this guy's saying he doesn't know. You know what I mean? And either he's a pathological liar along with everything else, or
he's got the wrong people.
Or yeah, exactly right.
I mean, look at Alex Rodriguez. Okay, Alex Rodriguez never actually failed the drug test.
Right.
Okay, but he was accused and he was suspended because he was involved in this thing. So is it just that Alex Rodriguez knew when to use and when not to use? He knew the cycles, he knew the whole thing?
And you would think that once
doesn't?
You would think this once you're accused and found guilty, that it's probably you're subject to random testing. They could do it at any time.
Yeah.
So you really got to just
You really
stay
have
clean.
no idea.
Yeah.
You know? And the other thing is, maybe, and we will never know this, you know, we talked about how he was so great for the Mets. Remember, he was originally a starting pitcher, and they needed somebody in the bullpen,
Yeah.
and he volunteered, and they said, okay, and he turned out 28 saves. Maybe he just really wasn't that good without the stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that to me is one of the, I don't know.
It's sad. I mean, I saw, I guess, a quote from Kadire, who saying there's not even a word to describe, you know, how he feels about this whole thing.
At least whatever it was and when it happened, it's not really affecting.
I mean, the Mets weren't really
issue.
counting on this
No.
guy. I mean, he was going to be like gravy. He was going to be.
He was going to be, yeah, you're right. He was going to be an extra coming out of the bullpen in August.
Right.
You know, so I think. So long, Jenry.
I think as my sister posted, good riddance.
Good riddance. A good riddance to bad rubbish. Right? All righty. Next up, we're going to have some stories you may not have heard about in our Did You Hear About segment. You're watching the Glorty Days show with Bruce and Disco on the Inravio TV network. We are coming right back. So should you.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Welcome back to the Glorty Days show with Bruce Disco here on the Inravio TV network. As a sports fan, you know you can get the scores and highlights from any number of places on the internet or from places like ESPN. But here on the Glorty Days show, we pride ourselves on finding interesting, sometimes bizarre, but always entertaining stories for you, our sophisticated yet twisted audience. This is a segment that we call Did You Hear About?
Right on cue there.
We love the guys in the booth.
They're the best, man.
Our first story is a baseball related, as Major League Baseball steps up its efforts to protect pitchers from potentially life-threatening line drives. A few years ago, pitcher Alex Torres made a promise to his mother that he would wear some sort of protective headgear whenever he took the mound as a Major League pitcher. A number of pitchers had taken line drives to the noggin, and she was worried about her baby's health.
All mothers do.
Torres, pictured here with the San Diego Padres, was the first pitcher to use the Major League Baseball approved headgear, which, as you can see, was kind of a fashion nightmare. The headgear included protective material, but was fairly oversized, kind of like the, what was that, the Great Gazoo?
Exactly right.
He took a lot of ribbing from other players, but if it could save his life and prevent a major injury, Torres was willing to just shrug off the good-natured comments. But then when he joined the Mets last year, Major League Baseball had approved a hybrid device with just wrapped around a regular baseball cap, providing the players with essentially the same protection. But again, it was fairly unpopular because it looked goofy. Besides, it also bore an uncanny resemblance to the headgear that Princess Leia used while on the moon of Endor in the movie Return of the Jedi. See? Now, Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association have partnered with yet another company and developed what actually seems like a pretty cool-looking hybrid helmet. The total weight of the headgear is just between 10 and 12 ounces and was created by a company called Boom Bang, which was brought in by Major League Baseball specifically to design it to be specific to left-handed and right-handed pitchers. Research showed that pitchers that were hit by line drives usually got hit on the side where their pitching arm is. Major League Baseball released photos of the helmets that will be used in spring training that have the ear flap on just one side, kind of like batting helmets. And they hope will be adopted by pitchers and become as much a part of the routine as wearing a cup.
We'll see.
About 20 pitchers have signed up to use the headgear during spring training, but the list, which has not been released yet, will include a mix of players who have been previously hit by line drives and players that have taken active leads in the developing of the headgear.
I thought you were going to say hit by line drives and those that want to be. Okay.
Well, you know, I wonder if like they signed up for the training, you know, somebody hits batted balls at them.
Yeah, right.
But most pitchers are a little skeptical about wearing the headgear, and comfort has been a real sticking point. Brandon McCarthy, who was in a life-threatening situation after being struck by a line drive, still felt the design was not quite right. But the new design, even with its much lighter weight, can still withstand a laboratory impact of 85 miles per hour. Does that mean that they have a laboratory going 85 miles an hour? Do they hit it with a bat? Do they hit it with a ball?
I guess so.
Like the crash dummies, maybe.
Yeah, it's something like that.
But you know, baseball players are creatures of habit, and it's a game of repetition. Hitters need to repeat their swing in order to have the best possible outcome, while pitchers, they need to repeat their mechanics in order to keep the hitters honest and off balance. One small change, even something as simple as a hat being a few ounces heavier, can alter a player's mechanics. And athletes are kind of stubborn creatures, and they're not going to change until they're absolutely forced to. Okay? Baseball's not going to make this mandatory yet, but remember when the NHL began requiring players in the minor leagues to wear helmets?
Yep.
Slowly but surely, those players made it to the pros and took their helmets with them. You kind of can't imagine a hockey player
You'll no longer
not
see
wearing
Bobby
a helmet.
Nystrom,
Right,
with the hair flowing,
So I don't know. Maybe in 15 years, baseball pitchers can say the same thing.
You know what I think?
What?
I think that if this works out, you see all these lawsuits from the fans who are afraid of getting hit by a foul ball. Why not give everybody one of those helmets, man?
That would be a giveaway.
Yeah, why not?
Right? Wear your protective helmet. Maybe it should be like if you're sitting in the first couple rows.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like they just put them out on the seat. When you sit down in your seat, you put the hat on, is what you do. I don't know. Okay.
All righty.
Story number 2 brings us to college basketball in Kansas. That's where my company is located,
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So you know how sometimes coaches or players will mumble under their breath when someone from the other team does something that isn't exactly against the rules, but just shouldn't be done? Usually the player has broken what they call, I guess, an unwritten rule.
Right.
In the vernacular, it's called being, I guess you call it a jerk. With the clock,
That's what we have to say.
With the clock winding down and Kansas' dominating performance against in-state rival Kansas State, both teams were slowly moving towards their benches as time was about to expire. One of the Kansas players just slowly bounced the ball towards the referee standing at the sideline so the clock would run out and end the game. Instead, out of nowhere, Kansas junior Brandon Green picked up the loose ball before it got to the referee and decided to take it to the basket and slam dunk it just before the final buzzer sounded. Kansas coach Bill Self, yes, that's his name, Bill Self, was not pleased at all whether his players would do something like that to embarrass an opponent. He already disciplined Green earlier in the year because he was arguing with him over playing time. Green was suspended for 6 games after complaining about his playing time in a game against Michigan State in November. That suspension cost him a trip to Hawaii with the rest of his teammates as part of the Maui Invitational. Self was so mad after the game that he opened his press conference apologizing for the uncontested dunk. It was totally classless, he said, without mentioning Green by name. I guarantee it'll never happen again. Right after the game, Self just couldn't contain himself anymore during a radio interview, saying, Brandon Green, we've put up with him doing some stuff in the past, but that was probably the biggest dick move I've ever had a player do during a game. Self said, to dunk the ball like that when the other team, even their players, are going, how disrespectful to the game. It certainly showed unbelievably poor sportsmanship. It's kind of an unwritten rule with the winning team to dribble out the clock, especially with the big lead and the other team not really defending. But should a 53-year-old coach publicly call one of his players a dick, even if his name isn't Richard?
I was kind of surprised because normally that type of thing would be handled in the locker room. You know what I mean? But there is virtually no other phrase that could describe exactly what that guy did.
No.
In the world of sports. I really, that's just the way I feel about it, the coach is being honest, and really, that's what it was. It is what it is.
It was a dick move.
It was a dick move. All righty. Our final story also involves, let's just call it a huge Schwanzenstucker. Do you know who Jay Glazer is, Mr. B?
No, but I know what a Schwanzenstucker is.
Okay. He's one of the senior writers for Fox Sports, and he's been an NFL insider for NFL on Fox since 2004. He wrote sports for the New York Post covering the Giants, and he was even an intern at WFAN in the early 90s.
Okay.
Recently, Glazer was talking about his days at WFAN, and the subject of Mike Francesa came up. And it was reported that Francesa announced he would leave the Fan after his contract expired at the end of 2017. Glazer spoke about how his first real solid assignment for FAN came during the NFL draft of '91. And his job was to take Francesa back and forth to the men's room, kind of like a bathroom escort.
All right.
Hey, listen, you're an intern. You do whatever they ask you to do, right? I don't know if he was holding his hand. But apparently there's a lot more to the king of sports talk than, meets the eye. I'm not going to lie, Glazer said. I copped a couple of peeks. It's unbelievable. It's amazing. He's like, he should be in porn. He really should.
Unbelievable.
Now you know why Francesa doesn't care anymore what anyone says or writes about him. At the end of every day, he just goes home knowing that he is the real king of all media.
Okay.
Let's do that right now. We have a quick phone call before we go to break. Caller, identify yourself, please.
It is the Admiral.
The Admiral.
Play the music.
What is it? Mr. B and Disco, how are you guys today?
We're doing good.
We're doing okay,
we
man.
appreciate you. I know you had a late night last night. There, you had a gig. So
I
it's nice
had a
that you
late
called
night.
in, I
I'm
guess,
actually
to eat the humble pie, I guess.
And after that, it's my first cup of coffee as we speak.
Listen, you know what? It surprised everybody, including me. But I just was surprised that Carolina just fell apart so quickly and completely.
You know what? I have to tell you, and you know I'm calling to take a big bite of the humble pie here because I was the guy that probably most emphatically called for a blowout last week. I think the only guy that might have been even close to me was Mr. B. But
55 to 14,
you know,
I said. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Antonio in the studio audience said they were going to get shut out. Denver was going to get shut out.
Listen, I have
Oh,
to
my
tell
God.
you, I mean, it just goes to show you, what defense means in a big game like that. Because,
Yep.
I mean, we all knew Denver coming in, they were the number one ranked defense, and, we knew that it was going to be a tough situation, but I didn't think they'd be able to hold up the entire game and contain Newton to that degree for the entire game.
Me
You know,
neither.
the thing that I didn't see is they didn't make any adjustments, though.
No,
You know,
they made zero
Carolina,
adjustments.
you figure maybe at halftime they would do something. I mean, it was always that same play, man. He's always running with the running back, and do I hand it to him or
Yeah,
not?
it kind of seemed like he almost didn't know whether he should let
Yeah.
the ball go or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what? That Denver defense, they have a couple of beats on that defense. I mean, it was just, and you know what? I mean, you can't even really give all that much credit to Peyton for the win. It was all the defense.
No, that's right.
No,
That's right.
either you or I could have been out there.
I mean, I had the stats here. I mean, they had only 194 yards total offense. They were 1 for 14 on third down conversion. They only had 11 first downs. And yet, they won the game.
All right,
Yeah.
Mike, we got to go. We're getting yelled at here.
Listen, I want to just quickly man up and do what I said I was going to do. So I want you to just, here's a big kiss on the butt. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mwah.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, kind of like, what was that, the dating game?
All righty, Mike.
Take
Thanks
care,
a lot.
fellas.
All right,
All right.
that's Mike
Thanks for
Ferraro.
calling in, Mike. Great. We'll see you sometime soon on your gigs, okay?
All right, we're just about out of time at Glorty Days, Joe. We're going to take a small break. When we get back, we'll wrap things up for the weekend. Stay with us. You're watching the Glorty Days Show with Bruce and Disco, only on the Inravio TV network. Coming right back.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com. For over 60 years, Hansen Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hansen Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansenCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hansen Carpet has got you covered. Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Welcome back to the Glorty Days show with Bruce Disco here on the Inravio TV network. So what have we learned today?
Well, the first thing I think I learned is that Cam Newton's performance, while terrible for an MVP in a Super Bowl, was not anything close to being the worst, you know?
No, that's true.
And the worst had to be that Rich Gannon, who we didn't even know was an MVP.
Didn't know it.
With the 5 interceptions and 3 picks in a 48-21 blowout to to Tampa Bay.
Well, I learned, cue the music. Any chance of cueing the music one more time? Okay, here's what I learned. No, that's the wrong music. I learned that I am great. I always knew I was great, but I needed to prove it to everybody else.
Yeah.
And I am so great that I'm going to kiss my own ring.
Okay. Good for you, my friend. And you did predict that Denver was going to win.
You know what? I don't know when I'm ever going to get this again.
Can't disparage
So
you from that.
I learned that Mike Ferrara is a man of his word.
That's right. That's right. And the other thing I think I learned is that Pete Torgerson feels that 20-game suspension of Dennis Weideman is not enough. He should be out for the whole year.
And Mejia is a knucklehead.
That's right.
Actually, he is. I mean, I know it's early in the year. We're only talking February here,
Right.
middle of February here. But
He seems to be a shoo-in.
we really need something really incredibly stupid up in the par. Remember, I believe him and JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul,
Yeah, that's right.
were vying for the title last year. But I think Mejia, really, I mean, talk about
He's the
a
early
lock.
favorite for
He's
sure.
the early favorite. I don't know who could do anything stupider than that.
Well, we have almost a whole year to find that out, my friend.
And we have a lot of shows.
Yeah.
So there's good chance that we'll do something equally as stupid.
We just won't tell you, our loyal viewers.
Thanks to our producers, Kyle Melnick and Aaron Mikhailov, for all their hard work and making us look so good out here. And thanks to Pete Torgerson for helping us out today. It was good to hear from Pete.
Yeah, and it's also good for the Admiral calling.
And thanks again, Admiral. Thanks again, Chuck and Bonnie, for putting up with this nonsense week after week and allowing us to bring you this type of quality programming. And of course, thanks to you, our loyal viewers. Don't forget, you can check out the Glorty Days on-demand page on www.inravio.com. Do we have to say www anymore?
I think it's implied.
To watch any of our past shows or any of the other great shows on the Inravio.com TV network. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. We'll see you all next time.
Stay warm out there.
Inravio.com. Inravio.com.